All right, we are recording and it's working. So this is my little guy that I was making in class, and I have another little guy over here that I was working on in my second block class. So I started second block working with it. I'm gonna go over a few different things on this one, and then I'm gonna work with this one to continue underglazing it for now. A few different things. If your William is a little like rocky like that, just make sure it's not too like top heavy, like it's gonna fall over. But we could always go in and sand the bottoms of the feet up so that it's nice and good. It'll stand on its own. I'll just go through like that with sandpaper on a piece of sandpaper and get any of that off. The other thing you want to make sure you have, super important, 2 air holes. One underneath the chin, one in the middle. I just used the very end of a paintbrush, and you want to go all the way, not through, but enough so that you can poke a hole in where the air can escape. Because if you don't have these 2 holes in it, it's definitely going to go kaboom. And I'm not gonna put it in the kiln if it goes kaboom, because then it'll go kaboom next to someone else's, and then they'll be sad, because maybe their William will be missing a leg, or their porcelain vase. So make sure you get those 2 holes in there, super, super important. A few things I'm gonna go over are some common mistakes, and then also working with the underglaze a little bit better. Once your piece gets to be like a little bit like leathery, hard, there's 2 different ways you could go in and smooth, and these are kind of ways that you guys know already. I just kind of want to reiterate them. The first one is you can go in with your rib tool. I like to use the metal rib tool because I could really round it. And just scrape off any of the extra clay, and that'll help you out. Let me move this a little bit. Okay. Another thing you could do is you can use your burnishing stone. So we use this to smooth out our vases. Now you could see like how crumbly and icky that is over there. Needs to be smoothed. I'm gonna go in with my burnishing stone and just compress the clay together. And you could use both techniques, but the reason you want to get rid of any bumps in your clay is so that when we go in to carve and then just lay the underglaze in there, you have a really nice smooth surface. These guys, they just help you, to get it a little bit smoother than maybe you could with your hand. So I think you could see, even though there's lines in it, you could tell it's much smoother. Go in and burnish that up a little bit. And you don't have to burnish the whole thing and make it like super shiny or anything like that. But that camera doesn't show much of a difference, but there's a difference. That camera should. Okay. Go in, make sure everything's nice and smooth, the eyes, the mouth area, the little cheeks right here, and you guys then should be all set to start applying your underglaze designs. I think I'm gonna do this one like very similar to the traditional William, but a little different. I'm gonna start this one tomorrow though. I'm gonna work on this one for right now just because it's dry. It's like pretty leather hard, and this one's a little fresher, so I want to work on the one that is drying out a little quicker so that I'm able to show you guys the carving techniques. I went ahead in and during second block, I started carving in and adding the underglaze. And I'll see if I do wind up uploading those. I'm not sure what the videos look like because they cut out halfway through. the first thing you're gonna wanna go in and do is go ahead, pull up some images online, go into the PowerPoint as well, because all the images are in there. So all the images from all the different angles are in there. It's okay if it's not perfect. You can add some little extra designs in if you want, but you know, that's the basics of the side. And he is very symmetrical in the paintings that are used. So you could see even like stemming from the front all the way down the nose, and then there's flowers off to the side and the same flowers coming up. You could look up different Egyptian floral designs if you would like. That would be fine too. So a few things you're gonna need. You guys should all have your underglaze in these little things. If you don't have underglaze, there are still some little painting kits up there on the bottom of the cart, so you're more than welcome to pick those up. It's kind of like jelly. A lot of it's probably, you know, like a pudding consistency because it dried out a little bit because it was sitting by itself for a while. So I'm gonna use the cap, and I'm just gonna put a little bit on the cap. I'm gonna grab a little teeny paintbrush, a pencil, and some type of little dish with water in it. It could be anything that you want to use. It could be something, you know, disposable. It could be something that's reusable. Just make sure you wash it. These are non-toxic anyway, but you know, just make sure you don't want, you know, someone to be like, oh, that was my coffee mug and now there's underglaze in it. So the reason I'm having you guys work on the lid is, number one, it allows you to have a little bit of a palette. Also, being able to just kind of flip it over and it'll go in with the rest of the paint, so you're not wasting any of your underglaze, you know, depending on how much you have in there. Then I like to add in a little bit of water so that it's a little more fluid to work with. You don't want to water it down really thin, but you don't want it to be like jelly anymore. So you could see it's a lot thinner versus like this where I'm trying to pick it up. Yeah. I can't even really pick it up. Yeah. So make sure it's nice and painty, not jelly. All right. I'm gonna set this aside for now, and I'm gonna go in with my pencil, and I am going to lightly carve in the designs that I want to use. So I started with kind of like the traditional little lily pad that he had back there. I'm gonna go in now and actually add a little line. And I like to do this when it's in the leather hard stage because it's easier to carve. That's like a perfect consistency to carve. So if you guys are finished building these, I would let them start resting out. Let me go grab a little blanket to rest it on. This is gonna kind of be another thing, just because the clay is so fragile and we're using underglaze, where you're gonna want something to rest it on. Just, you know, make it easier for you. And I'm going to go in and just carve in all of the designs with just a pencil. So I'm not carving in too deep. But I also want to make sure I get these little crumblies out of the way. If you have any little crumbs, they're gonna kind of get in your underglaze and make it more difficult. So we'll just kind of dust those out. I'm gonna go in and show you guys. I already started this one little eye here. It looks kind of funny because it's not filled in yet. But I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do the other one. Now, right in the center of William's nose, it comes up. And then it kind of points into almost like this lotus type flower shape. So I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna carve that a little deeper so that you guys can see. And what we're gonna be doing with the underglaze is very similar to something called a slip inlay, where you have a carving and then you apply a slip into it, usually a colored slip, which underglaze is essentially. It's just a little different. And the reason I'm having you guys carve and set this in is so that it really becomes part of the piece. And when we go in with the turquoises, and I'm ordering a few different turquoises still, because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give you guys a good variety. This, I think I'm gonna go in, it's kind of broken up into sections. So I guess, how do they have it there? I think I'm gonna kind of do my own thing. I'm gonna kind of, I want to do like a little pyramid there. Then I'm gonna bring it out. So I would like you guys to try to get like similar shapes, but if you want to switch it up a little bit, you can. If you want to do it exact, you could do that too. So I got my design starting. And there are a lot of them. There's a lot of like little dots on there too. And we'll go over how to carve in and get those really nice little dots. So I'm just carving in. And this is gonna give me a really nice area for my brush to follow. I'm gonna add like a second layer here. So I hope you guys get what I mean by, you know, kind of sticking with the same type of design, but you can alter it, the shapes and everything in there. I started this flower earlier, and I kind of kept this one pretty traditional. And then there's this little piece that kind of comes over to the side. And there's a bunch of little dots in it. Now to make a little dot on there, I'm just gonna take the tip of my pencil and kind of work it in just like that. And then dust any extra. And I would say like a lot of the pieces have little dots. Be mindful of where you're placing them. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do a few here. And carve back. And I think I'm gonna just do some lines going straight back. So this one's a little bit more geometric on the top, but I'm gonna go in and I'm going to add all the little detail marks. So I think my one I'm gonna do tomorrow, I'm gonna make more whimsical. but I would try for like the different forms on the side and then making sure you get a symmetrical center. The same thing for the eyes. Yesterday we went in and we started to kind of just shape like a general area. Then I went in and I kind of looked like, all right, the eyes start to point out. And of course it's gonna look much different once we go in and paint. Carve in that. And then we'll carve in for the pupil. And we'll carve in to make a mark for the eyebrow. Now, if you guys want to make these a little more detailed, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to stop you there with that. But once this gets darkened, you'll be able to tell, you know, you have your interesting William things going on. And I think I'm gonna have this go out and be a flower. So I'm making up the back of this, but I'm gonna have the sides traditional. Now, a few things you guys might be like, oh no, Miss Clayton, I don't know. I don't like what I carved. I don't know. It's just not working for me. Guess what? You have an eraser. Take your little burnishing stone and just burnish it away. Just burnish it away. And it never happened. It never happened. Nope, 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 nope. Never happened. I actually think I'm gonna burnish some of this out because I don't know if I like it all. But just by going in with the burnishing stone, this is gonna be your eraser. It will erase any lines or marks that you made that you don't like just by compressing the clay back together. And my line is gone. So easy peasy. So don't be scared if you mess up with that. All right, now for applying the underglaze. So I got my water, I got my underglaze. I'm gonna put this one aside. And I have my carvings. I would, you know, continue carving the entire thing before you underglaze. It'll just be so much easier, especially you could see that this kind of started to get a little bit lighter because some clay dust got on it. But yeah, so go in, carve everything, make sure the crumblies are out, and then go in and underglaze these. But I'm not gonna draw out the entire thing because I wanna give you guys some time to work on these. But I think you'll find this part really relaxing. This is also good because it's a palette. You could just kind of brush off your extra paint. And because we made these marks, it's going to allow us to set in the underglaze super easy, all right? So you do want to keep your hand nice and still. And you want to make sure that your underglaze is watered down enough that it will just lie directly in that carving mark. Hopefully you guys can see that. And being that you're just taking this little teensy tiny paintbrush, you guys should have all had 2, maybe 3 different little paintbrushes in there to work with. And I'm just lining the underglaze in there, and then it's gonna line up exactly with the clay. So the black underglaze is essentially becoming a part of the clay. Do rest your arm on something though. You know, I know that my arm shakes when I try to paint a straight line. but it should flow in there really nicely. Just make sure that you do water down your underglaze. Now, traditionally with underglaze, if you are painting a large surface, you would put 3 coats on. Because this is just like one line we're putting in, I would say 1, maybe 2. I would maybe do 2 to be safe, but 1 might be okay. It all depends on like how thinned out your underglaze was, but you could see it just lined directly in there. This see how this got a little lighter? It's because I was dusting crumbs and stuff off, so that's why you want to make sure that you do this last. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna touch that up. So you could see like reline that in. Now, the reason I had you guys poke the little holes in is because it's gonna be so easy to get all the little spots. Your paintbrushes are pretty tiny and they should be able to fit right into those little marks that you made. And it will not only fill in the area, you might need to add a little extra, but it will give you a pretty even little circle. And just kind of drop the paint in there. Now with the different turquoises, we're gonna be kind of like sponging them on to give it that rustic look. Like I said, I have a few in class right now, but I was looking online earlier today and found some interesting stuff. So I think I'm gonna order those tonight and test them out. And so you guys could see like some swatches of it. And in the real one, you know, he had a few different shades of turquoise to him with his feet being a different color. See how that has like a big lump on it? We don't want a big lump on the paintbrush. Want to make sure we get that extra off. And we just glide it in there. So water and having like your underglaze watered down, super, super, super important. So I was reading through a lot of your surveys, and one thing was that siblings, parents, and pets kept getting to your projects and either ruining them or ruining your paint on them or dropping them. Well, all right, so say your sibling comes on in and they're like, oh my goodness, look at this. Can I paint it? I really want to paint it. And like maybe they're just in preschool, so they just did that. And you're like, oh my goodness, I worked for, you know, a week and a half and now it's ruined. It's not. It's not ruined. Well, hold on, it might be ruined if I can't find something. Grab your metal rib tool. Just go in and scrape it off. All the underglaze should come off. If you need to burnish it up because it's rough, you can, but problem solved. Your sister in preschool did not ruin your project. All right, so a few things to take away from this. Carving, make sure you carve everything in first with a pencil. Ooh, I can't wait to paint his face. Oh, I missed a little spot. Making sure all of the little crumblies are out. A pencil is super easy to use. Like I would continue going through here. And I think I'm gonna use the same petal design they have in the picture. And if you mess up or you wanna change it, you can. Just make sure you get all the little crumblies out of there, get all your designs on. Make sure you have your 2 holes so that the air can escape. And yeah, that's pretty much the basics to getting your little underglaze designs in there. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. I know we're going for traditional William, but you know, I changed mine up a little bit on top, so have fun with them, and then we'll have fun too with the different turquoise glazes when we